Hello, this is CityScape, a regular vodcast featuring people, place, and ideas that impact our community. I'm Dan West with the Livonia Westland Chamber of Commerce. Today we visit a Livonia church with an expansive history and has emerged as a hub and a supporter for several local nonprofit organizations. Mount Hope Congregational Church has been based on Schoolcraft west of Middlebelt for 6 decades. The church's origins date back to the 1880s when it was named to match a city street in southwest Detroit. The church had various buildings in Detroit and Livonia before settling at its current site in Livonia. The congregation came to Livonia in 1964 when the church purchased land on the Schoolcraft Road site and worshiped briefly at Roosevelt Elementary School before its new church was dedicated in 1966. Today, Mount Hope serves around 200 members, and they provide much outreach and support to the community. The church has grown in recent years with its variety of family holiday events, a Girl Scout troop, martial arts summer camp, food truck gatherings, and more. The church's facilities have also been a place for emerging local charities, such as Do It for Denny and the Shared Kindness Project. And we are joined today by Mount Hope's pastor, Dr. Reverend Jeffrey Luchun. Pastor Luchun, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Quickly, can you share what's different about a congregational service compared to some other Christian faith services?
Sure. So we are congregational, which means that it's more of a governance style than anything in the worship service. So governance style here is we have 7 committees. Those committees organize and run all of the operations of the church. Everything that is done is guided by those committees, which is made up of members of our church.
Okay. So it sounds very democratic in that regard.
Very much so, yes.
So, you've been here at Mount Hope for 3.5 years, and you've brought a lot of community involvement and activities to the church. And I guess, what was your goal and objective with bringing the increased community involvement to Mount Hope?
Certainly. The reason for it is a term in the church world of revitalization. And so the goal of revitalization is to bring health and life back into a church community that had seen a downturn in attendance, in activity, in anything like that in their programming. And so the goal is to reinvigorate your base, to then engage them with the community. The community is where all the people are. And so if we are not a lighthouse to our community, we're missing the opportunities that are right before us. And so part of that is connecting with like-minded nonprofits who have direct connection with many of the individuals in our community.
One of those like-minded nonprofits did a grand opening here at Mount Hope, and that was Do It for Denny last summer. Sammy McKay's group has done a great job for more than a decade reaching out to those in need. What got you connected with Do It for Denny, Sammy, and her group, and what inspired you or what interested you about the work they were doing?
Sure. So we love nonprofits that are working in our community to serve those who are in greatest need. And so when I saw Do It for Denny doing some work online, I reached out to Sammy and just invited her to come check out the church. I do that often. You can ask my wife. I talk to people all the time about Mount Hope. And so I wanted her to come check us out, see what she thought. And she loved the church. And from there, we began coming up with ideas on how we could best not only serve her and Do It for Denny, but also the people of Livonia and beyond. And so part of that was her toy shop. We knew that the spaces they were holding toy shop in previously were on the smaller side of things that they needed, and we were able to come together and really devise a plan of how we could best use our facility for her during that event. And I think this year you could ask her, but I think it went very smooth and it was very well run. She has some great volunteers, and we want people in our community to know that our facility is open. We are not closed. We're not a new church. We've been around for a long time, and we've been in this area for a long time. And we want to love our people here, but also the people of Livonia well.
Well, there's a lot to like about Sammy. Sammy was honored as our first citizen in 2023, so I'm sure there's a lot of like-minded synergy and enthusiasm for the work that all of you do with that. And then another young man who was honored by the Chamber this year was our outstanding youth, Hayden Hahn, a senior at Churchill High School, was our outstanding youth award winner. He and his mom lead cooking classes for neurodivergent adults, and some of the work they've done has also been here at Mount Hope. And I guess, how were you connected to Lauren and Hayden, and talk about how your facilities have been made available to them?
Right, so again, Facebook brings all kinds of people together. And so I saw what they were doing on Facebook and reached out to open ourselves together. I knew that they attended a different church, and so I wanted them to come in, and we spoke about how we can best come together in partnership to serve the adults with special needs community. And so that's a ministry that has deep roots in my heart. And so when they came up with their idea of doing the kitchen program, we have a kitchen, it's certified, it's available, and they were like, this is the perfect space. And so we were more than willing to partner with them on that. They do a craft group here as well. And so we're hoping to open ourselves up to the families of those who attend their groups, and produce a ministry that meets all the needs of people.
What are some of the other programs that take place here? Obviously there's a lot, but I mean, highlight some of the ones that take place here.
So we have programs that run many days of the week. Sunday mornings, we have a small group for all ages. Of course, we have our worship service at 10:30. But then on Tuesdays, we have a 10 o'clock small group that meets here. We have on the first and third Tuesdays, we have a grief group that meets here at Mount Hope. That is through the New Hope Center for Grief Support. On the second and fourth Tuesdays, we have a small group that meets at my house. My wife makes dinner and everyone comes in for Bible study. And then Wednesdays, we have a Wednesday evening program that goes on, 6:30 for all ages. We have on the first and third Wednesdays at Cedar Brook of Northville, we have a small group that meets there with their residents. Open for anybody, but their residents. And then on the fourth Thursday of the month, we do a church service over at Cedar Brook, open for anybody, but also for their residents. And so that's just the Bible studies type things that we do here at Mount Hope. But then we have monthly events for children, youth, and adults. We have opportunities to go play laser tag and all kinds of other events run through our family pastor.
When you talk about outreach, welcoming, and worship, it sounds like it's the formula you're using here.
Yes.
It's like you're not, instead of you coming here, you're trying to go out and reach the community and connect them with what you're doing. Was that always the game plan coming in, or is this something you kind of identified since you came to Mount Hope?
So that was the idea in my head prior to coming to Mount Hope. The previous church I was at, we went through a revitalization program or process as well, and then COVID hit, and that changed everything for everyone. And I know here in Michigan, it was much different than where I was, even in Virginia, but that changed a lot. And so when I came to Mount Hope post-COVID, there were a lot of things that we had to relaunch. And so community outreach is definitely one of the top things we had to do. So the idea here is a word that I coined called mistractional. Churches need to be missional. I need to empower our congregation to feel the need, the urgency of taking what they're learning out into our community so that our community can see, oh, there's something going on at Mount Hope. And then we have to also produce a service, a study, a activity event, a community outreach event that is attractional, that people hear about and want to come in. And so we're doing that. Our first outreach event that we had here in the first Easter I was here in 22 we call it Eggaroo. It's coming up this year on April 19th, and we had about 250 people here for that event. That was the most people the church had had on its campus in decades. The next year, we had probably 300 to 350 here. This will be our third year of hosting that event. I'm praying for 500. We have thousands of eggs that will need to be filled. We have all kinds of activities and events going on here, including the Easter Bunny. So if you want your picture taken with the Easter Bunny, you can come do that here at Mount Hope. And so that's a large-scale event. That event is lots of fun. We also host something we call Pumpkin Palooza, which is the Saturday before Halloween. The first year I was here, we did it the second year, so in 2022 we did it, and that event we brought in maybe about 500 people, and everybody, it's the biggest event in the history of Mount Hope. This was so much fun. The next year we had 681. I remember the clicker. And the third year, this past year in 24, we were praying for 1,000 people to come. We were going to have the most trunks we have had. We have two spooky walkthroughs where younger kids can go through the gym, which has a spooky walkthrough, and then we have one in the woods surrounding us that is much more creepy and spooky. We had just under 1,700 people come to that event, and that was the largest event in the Livonia area, but we were blessed because it blew our mind. We ran out of candy 4 times.
You're planning for 1,700 cane.
Yes, and so we had people running to Costco and Meijer and Walgreens trying to get candy. The Saturday before Halloween is not likely to find candy. And so this year we're just praying for even more. And the hope is to just be an alternative for families to come together and experience some fun. We've got bounce houses, we do food, we've got all kinds of things. And so it's just a great time for us as well as for families in the area.
Well, you go back to COVID, all faith communities had a decline in service attendance and participation for obvious reasons. It sounds like you took the opportunity to kind of reinvent church and community involvement and outreach. And it sounds like you and your congregation have found a happy spot with it here at Mount Hope.
Yeah, that's my hope, is that we are connecting with our community on levels in which they need reassurance. I have a saying, Mount Hope is where you find hope. You can come here on a Sunday or any of our events and see the hope on people's faces. This time in our history is very interesting for a lot of people. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of darkness and depression and hurt and in trauma. And what we do here at Mount Hope is come alongside of you to love you through all of those things. And we don't hold any judgment. We want you to come as you are, to be who you are, because in our mission statement it says that we love God, we love others, and we welcome all people into our fellowship. So no one is lost in that.
How can people find you online? You have a website, social media platforms?
MountHope.com is our website. You can find us on Facebook, Mount Hope Congregational Church. You can find us on YouTube, Mount Hope Congregational Church, or you can find us on Instagram, Mount Hope CC.
So, well, Pastor Luchun, I thank you for your time today, and congratulations on the growth and the impact you've had in your 3.5 years here at Mount Hope. We thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That's all the time we have for this edition of CityScape. We thank you for watching and your time today, and we'll see you again next time.